Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
You need to be greased lightning.
We were just talking about that before we came on the air. Joe Giammatteo.
I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and you want me to chase a freaking chicken.
It's the only way you can be greased lightning.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett. We're going to examine WWE history, one episode of Monday Night Raw at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on January 11th, 1999. This Raw was recorded at the Compaq Center in Houston, Texas, and features Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Did either of you ever own a Compaq computer?
No.
The Compaq Center brought back some memories there.
Yeah, I did have a compact computer.
Nice. I am ready to go.
Let's get into it. So we didn't have any kind of preamble going into this episode. It was straight to the entry music and the sweeping view of the crowd. Michael Cole yelling in an attempt to make himself sound more interesting than he really is. The first superstars to grace the entry ramp ended up being D-Generation X, with the Outlaws coming out to do their spiel, but instead twisted it into an introduction for Mankind, complete with new entry music. This is the music that starts with the car crash, and the music that, correct me if I'm wrong, Mick Foley's going to be using this for the rest of his career in the WWE, right?
I think so. It's certainly the most memorable entrance music of his, for sure.
Even though he recently released himself from WWE.
Well, isn't he with AEW now?
He is now, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Is he using that music?
I don't know.
I would assume he's not, but
Yeah, I don't know. Some guys do get to take it with them. Like I know the Hardy Boys took their music. But yeah, I don't know about Mick Foley.
If Tony Khan wants to pony up for the licensing fee, then I suppose it would probably be on the table, right?
Yeah.
money talks.
That's right. So they replayed this music for Mankind's 3-second walk down to the ring, too, which I thought was hilarious. But we also got a view of the McMahons and The Rock watching from backstage. Mankind went into a promo while the crowd got a Foley chant going, and notably, Mankind thanked Jim Ross and expressed his desire to have Jim Ross on the play call, which we can all sympathize with. Mankind also thanked those who helped him, most notably Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he even went so far as to suggest that Mankind owes Austin a title shot. But in the most perfect moment, when Mankind was working hard to suggest a Mankind-Austin main event at WrestleMania, The Rock's music hit, and The Rock came out looking like an absolute superstar. He was flanked there by Vince and Shane McMahon, and credit where credit is due, Shane had an excellent pinstripe suit on. I don't know if you guys are a fan of pinstripe suits. I generally am not, but this thing was just, that was class. I would love to own a suit like that.
It depends on the situation. A Nepo baby villain heel, I think a pinstripe's perfect for that.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have those credentials, but maybe I can live up to it someday. I'm certainly a heel. I'm just
Dick Tracy villain or something.
I'm not the Nepo baby yet.
Like an old-timey gangster.
Yes, eh? So Shane's revelation here was that tonight there's going to be a, quote, corporate Royal Rumble between DX and the corporation, with the winner earning the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, which is still 2 weeks away. Then it was The Rock's turn on the mic, and I popped when The Rock called Austin a bald-headed jabroni. I also popped for The Rock referring to himself as the Brahma Bull. The Rock actually dropped quite a few lines that I enjoyed here, and I was glad The Rock got so much time on the microphone. I've mentioned it in some previous episodes, but it felt like The Rock had taken a little bit of a back seat in the past few weeks, since Austin has been out of the picture.
Well, we learned he was getting his bitch tits fixed.
Well, that's true, but gotta keep it kayfabe, pal.
Yeah.
Bitch tits aren't kayfabe.
Steroid boobs had to be corrected.
Drained. Had to get the bitch tits drained.
Yeah.
like Sammy.
Yeah. Oh, God. But now we've got The Rock front and center again, which is nice. The Rock then started laying down potential stipulations for a rematch. He was champing at the bit to get his title back. He went so far as to offer a no DQ, no count out, etc. match, which Mankind kept refusing. But finally, Mankind offered and agreed to an I Quit match against The Rock at the Royal Rumble. Before anyone could accept that, though, Vince McMahon pointed out that in order to accept that match, Mankind would still have to be the champion when the Royal Rumble comes around, and made a match for later on tonight. Kane will be taking on Mankind for the title. We all know who's going to walk away with the belt from that encounter. But just as everyone was getting ready to go back about their business, we got a view of Stone Cold Steve Austin entering the arena with Michael Cole yelling, "The rattlesnake is coiled!" That's it. So, gentlemen, we have the setup for one of my personal most memorable matches of all time, the I Quit match, where the Brain Scrambler gets used no less than 17 times. And we
in
got
front
that
of his entire family.
Crying kids.
Yeah. And we got that set up for that match in what was a pretty girthy 20-minute segment here. I really like Mankind getting his roses, but I also really liked The Rock getting back to the forefront. So, Joe, what'd you think of how we started the evening?
Really one of the best intros to Raw that we've had in a while.
Yeah.
I think Mankind really delivered a great promo here, and then with him and The Rock going back and forth, that's just a lot of chemistry there.
Magic
going back and
between
forth.
those two.
Between The Rock and Mankind, and we obviously know already about The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So there's your top three guys right there, easily.
Not Kane?
Yeah. For 24 hours, maybe Kane could be a top guy. Mankind really delivering a nice promo here, especially knowing that it's going to be a short-lived title run for him. Just really taking advantage of it and still getting these crowds to just love him even more every week. Just such a good delivery, like knows how to deliver a promo in front of a live crowd. And then just, again, going back and forth with The Rock, leading up to the climax, which is the I Quit match for the Royal Rumble. So again, like just giving us more reason to buy that pay-per-view. And that is really the goal here for a Fortune 500 company. They want people to buy those pay-per-views, and they're just really selling the shit out of it right now. There's so much to look forward to on that pay-per-view that's in a couple of weeks.
Couldn't agree more. Everyone involved here did a great job, but Mick and The Rock going back and forth was it was perfect. It was magical, like I said, because they have two completely different styles of delivery in their promos, but my God, are they both fantastic. The Rock, of course, that's what he's known for, are these promos. But Mick Foley was just giving it right back. And it kept this 21-minute segment really feeling much shorter because it was fun to listen to. Both of these guys going back and forth. And I know, Joe, you had to be coming day and night at that 20-minute opening of not a single fucking wrestling move being thrown out.
Wish it was longer, yeah.
But you couldn't have had two better guys doing it. And we get this set up for the I Quit match, which, like you, Bartlett, I very, very much remember this. I'm not going to give it away, but I remember being so angry at the end of that match, but in the good way. Not like in the, oh man, that sucked, but like in the, they fucking got me.
Yeah.
I'm a mark, basically.
Yeah.
End of The Sopranos.
Right. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and without spoilering anything, that was all I could think of during this promo, because this promo is what gets used later on. So, yeah, I'm getting pretty stoked for the Royal Rumble this year, guys. I know it's usually a little bit of a controversial pay-per-view because of just the nature of that specialty match and everything, but they're really building to something pretty awesome here, especially by the end of this episode. There's a lot of new things added to it. So, Let's move then into our first match of the night. Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett with Deborah defeats the New Age Outlaws with Chyna by pinfall in 4 minutes and 35 seconds in a WWF Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match. So there was some talk at the beginning about what factor Deborah might play in this match, and it was hard to imagine what she could do that isn't solved simply by not looking at her tits.
Yeah, I love how that's just an impossible task.
Yeah, everybody turns into the cartoon wolf from the Droopy cartoon.
Don't get me wrong, she's highly attractive, but I think if I'm in the middle of a title match, I could focus my balls from not looking at her.
Yeah.
But
so that, though, is exactly what happened on Heat last night, apparently. The Boss Man and Shamrock lost their match to be #1 contenders because the Boss Man was apparently hypnotized by Deborah's mammies.
Well, since we never get to actually see them from the front, maybe they got those, like, pinwheel hypnotized things on them.
The action in this match was fine. The Road Dogg got the most non-hardcore ring time he's had in a while. So much so that it made me think of that old story about Billy Gunn and his asthma, and it made me wonder why we were holding back on Billy so much in this. But, of course, just as there was going to be a pinfall, Deborah unbuttoned her shirt, and it still worked because rather than pin Owen, Billy Gunn abandoned the pinfall to tell Deborah to suck it. He could have gotten a 3 count there, but in the end, Deborah ended up distracting Chyna, which somehow drew Billy Gunn's attention, and I honestly didn't pay any more attention after that because I felt that whole deal was really fucking weak, especially when the last few seconds of time in the ring were the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn arguing with each other, which reminded me, gotta check the calendar, it's been a few weeks. The rotation has come back around to teasing an Outlaws breakup.
Are they gonna break up?
All because of those titties. I hate to say it, guys, but like even with the talent in the ring, I just didn't care about this at all. I usually like some absurdity, but this just felt like booking laziness instead. Joe, what'd you think of it?
Did either one of you like what Road Dogg had on the back of his shirt? I have to imagine that you did. It's the dog 420.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
He also said before the match started, they were talking in the locker room, he said he's the Robert Fuller of the 90s, and I actually had no fucking clue who that was. I guess he was an actor back in the day, and I've never heard of him, so that is a throwback.
Before our time.
Yeah, so as far as the match, the only comment I really have on the match itself is I don't hate Owen Hart in this setting. I kind of like him teaming up with Jeff Jarrett. I think it's a good fit for him right now because all the shit with the Blue Blazer and Steve Blackman was just getting to be really terrible, even though Bartlett was a big fan of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it anymore.
Highlight a 98 for him.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that he's teaming up with somebody now, and somebody who is an attraction for 2 reasons, if you will, the tasty cakes. And I really like that Deborah has taken over as the lady with the tasty cakes that fans are most excited to see right now. I remember her being over for obvious reasons, but I don't remember her being this over with the crowds. She's just getting a huge reaction as soon as they come through the curtain there. So it's cool to see that. The fact that Sable isn't around certainly helps.
I was going to say, yeah, it feels like it's been forever since we've seen Sable.
Yeah. But Deborah is over big with these crowds, and she's great, and it's without wrestling. She's just a valet, which is a really good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bartlett, I agree with you that this was a disappointment of a match, especially with the talent involved. I didn't really understand the ending.
Yeah.
Why Chyna getting distracted would cause the Outlaws to lose. Like, that seems fucking dumb. Then they do the teasing of the breakup again. Like, I don't know. Everything about this was just regurgitated bullshit.
Yep.
Road Dogg, I couldn't help but coming away from the end of this saying, I just wish he wasn't in the tag team and we just focused on his hardcore championship because he excels at that. And this was just kind of throwaway bullshit.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, I was extremely distracted when Deborah was seducing Chyna. I kind of perked up a little bit. I was like Leonardo DiCaprio, that meme that goes around with him like whistling and pointing at the TV. That was me when Deborah started seducing China. I was hoping they'd take it pretty far, but
yeah, go further with that.
Unfortunately, they did not.
So I got curious, and I had to look up Robert Fuller. So Robert Fuller, nobody's going to know any of this stuff. You guys might recognize some of these names, but he was in the TV show Laramie, the TV show Wagon Train, a whole bunch of different cowboy. He was a cowboy actor, mostly.
I've heard that name, but I have no clue who he is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Some shitty sci-fi, the brain from Planet Eris.
Oh.
And this dude is still kicking at 92 years old.
Holy shit.
As of this recording. So, yeah.
Was he in some Ed Wood movies?
That's really what it looked like, that one that I named.
Yeah.
It was that style, but yeah. All right, so, speaking of that absurdity that I love so much, there were a lot of police officers around this door back in the back area to protect a door labeled Gilberg, which is going to take us into our next match. Luna Vachon defeats Gilberg by pinfall in 1 minute and 4 seconds. And by God, Gilberg is our jobber of the week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Bartlett. Yes, Gilberg is our jobber of the week. And honestly, this may be the most qualified selection ever. This is a man whose entire gimmick is based around the fact that he's a jobber. Gilberg was born Dwayne Gill on July 10th, 1959 in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and was trained by Larry Sharp at the Bone Crusher Wrestling School, and he made his in-ring debut in 1990. He has used the ring names Dwayne Gill, different spelling, Pain, Lord of Darkness, Executioner number 1, if that's not a giveaway that he's a jobber, Terry Turtle, and of course, Gilberg.
The Toxic Turtles, or whatever the hell that was called.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Gill began his career teaming with Barry Hardy as a masked tag team called the Lords of Darkness. Hardy was called Agony and Gill was Pain. And the tag team actually had some success on the independent circuit, becoming the first Mid-Eastern Wrestling Federation tag team champions in August of 91. Gill and Hardy began working for WWF in 1991, usually appearing on Superstars or Wrestling Challenge to get the absolute shit kicked out of them for whoever they were pushing that week. Gill and Hardy were briefly repackaged as the new version of the Executioners. Then in 93 came perhaps their greatest contribution to wrestling history, the Toxic Turtles. Gill and Hardy dressed as knockoff Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costumes and wrestled as Tom and Terry Turtle. Two giant turtles with shells strapped to their back. During the match, one of them would become stuck on their shell, and the other one would need to roll them back over.
God.
So terrible.
Thankfully, the Toxic Turtles did not become WWF regulars and were thrown onto the garbage heap with Manitar, The Goon, and TL Hopper. After the Executioner split, Gill continued working as a singles jobber before leaving the WWF in 95. He then made one WCW appearance that year and somehow defeated Hugh Morris by disqualification. That's right, Dwayne Gill is undefeated in the WCW. Fuck you, Goldberg. Gill then returned to the independent circuit, mostly wrestling around Maryland and the East Coast. Outside of the ring, he worked for the Maryland Board of Education as a carpenter, custodian, and maintenance worker. Gill once told a story about appearing on WWF television one night and returning to work the following morning to change light bulbs at an elementary school, and a young student named James Ellsworth recognized him and asked, "If you're a famous wrestler, why are you changing light bulbs?" Years later, Ellsworth became a wrestler and had a brief run with the WWE. He called Gill and told him, "I understand now." Gill returned to the WWF at the 98 Survivor Series during the Deadly Games tournament for the vacant WWF Championship. Vince McMahon introduced Mankind's mystery opponent as a veteran with an unmatched win-loss record. Vince was not lying. Mankind defeated him in about 30 seconds, allowing Gill to fulfill his role that he was born to play. Gill's appearance was only supposed to be a one-off, but the wrestlers backstage loved it and the audience immediately latched on to the joke. So the WWF offered him a contract, and on the November 23rd, 1998 episode of Raw, Dwayne Gill amazingly defeated Christian to win the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship with the help of the Job Squad. 1 week later, Gill defeated Mark Marrow after Marrow promised to leave the WWF if he could not beat this no-name jobber. He could not. Imagine being Mark Marrow. Your WWF career is ended by Dwayne fucking Gill, if you don't count the fact that his life already ended from a Sable Bomb earlier that year. From there, the WWF transformed Gill into Gillberg, a parody of WCW's undefeated monster Goldberg. Goldberg had expensive pyrotechnics. Gillberg had members of the Job Squad holding sparklers. Goldberg stood in the smoke and breathed it in. Gillberg coughed and stumbled through the clouds of smoke. Goldberg had the large tribal tattoo. Gillberg had a Morse code-style dotted line around his arm. Gillberg entered the 99 Royal Rumble with his full entrance, and it took him longer to reach the ring than he actually spent in it, as Edge eliminated him in only 6 seconds. He barely defended the championship on WWF television, disappearing for months at a time, and continued losing non-title matches while carrying the belt, like this one tonight with Luna. The championship became less important as a title and more of a fashion accessory for Gillberg. After a long absence, Gillberg returned to Sunday Night Heat on February 13th, 2000, and issued an open challenge. The challenge was answered by the debuting Essa Rios, accompanied by Lita. Rios defeated Gillberg with a moonsault in less than a minute, ending Gill's championship reign after nearly 15 months. Despite doing almost nothing with the belt, Gillberg remains the longest reigning light heavyweight champion ever in the WWE. He held it longer than Christian, Dean Malenko, Jeff Jarrett, X-Pac, and yes, even longer than the WWF great Taka Michinoku. After leaving the WWF, Gill continued wrestling as Gillberg on the independent circuit, especially around Maryland. He also returned to the WWE several times when the company wanted to rib Goldberg. In 2003, The Rock brought Gillberg on to Raw during his feud with the real Goldberg. Goldberg grabbed Gill by the throat and finally provided wrestling fans with the dream match they always wanted. Gillberg appeared again during Raw's 15th anniversary Battle Royale in 2007, and staying loyal to the gimmick, he was the first wrestler eliminated. In 2017, Chris Jericho presented Gillberg to Kevin Owens during the Festival of Friendship.
Friendship.
That just sounds terrible. Yeah, what the fuck? And in 2021, Gillberg appeared alongside a fake Drew McIntyre during the Miz's Dirt Sheet segment. Even 23 years later, after the gimmick began, WWE was still finding new ways to bring Dwayne Gill onto television and humiliate him. Gill continued wrestling sporadically until February 28th, 2020, when he defeated James Ellsworth, there's that name again, to win the Adrenaline Championship Wrestling's Light Heavyweight Championship in his final match. That means Gillberg ended his career by winning a championship. So, fuck you again, Goldberg. Later that year, Gill suffered multiple heart attacks, including a massive heart attack while undergoing surgery. Thankfully, he survived and recovered, and still lives the Gillberg gimmick to this day. Gillberg finished his career with 126 wins, 217 losses, and 4 draws. Now, these posted records are never completely accurate because many independent matches never get documented, but even with the incomplete numbers, Gill lost nearly twice as often as he won. So we have Barry Horowitz as the King of Jobbers, Steve Lombardi as the Duke of Jobbers, and now we have Dwayne Gill, the patron saint of jobbers.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
He is that, but he's also, it sounds like he's also the greatest light heavyweight wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spanning.
Undisputed.
Spanning many different promotions. Yeah. That sucks about the heart attack. he's okay now, right? Like he's
no,
good.
it seems like he's all right. I looked him up, and like I said, he's still living the gimmick. Like you can find Facebook posts of him still
probably showing up at like Comic
Gilbert.
Cons and shit like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder what gave him the heart attacks, because it sure as fuck wasn't steroids.
Definitely not.
Well, thank you, Ryan. That's illuminating as always. Good to have a jobber of the week here. And I gotta say,
it's been a little while.
I feel like, I know we didn't, but it's almost uncanny valley. Like I really thought that we had a Dwayne Gill jobber of the week before, but
no, we've seen him, but I mentioned I am waiting for him to come as Gilbert before I give it to him. Good. And then this was perfect because Luna beat him
in his debut.
Worked out. Yep. Yeah, in his debut. So it was perfect.
Well, so speaking of, we'll get into the match here. I just have, it was 1 minute and 4 seconds, so I just have some cursory notes real quick. We got the news that Luna will be taking on Sable for the Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble. Can't wait to be pissed off about having to watch that. I also can't imagine how it's safe to do a splash off the top rope with implants that big. That was concerning. Made me think of Charlotte Flair, honestly. But after the bell was rung at the end of this match, that suspiciously attractive fan that has been showing up for Sable jumped into the ring to attack Luna and had to be pulled out with no further definition of what's going on there. So that's it. That's the end of my comments. Ryan, what did you think of the Dwayne Gill reboot here?
Well, I loved it. Gilbert is a very, very memorable character. I have his signed photo hanging up in my bar as we speak.
Your most prized possession.
Yeah.
And come on, you have to admit this was hilarious. The way that they mocked Goldberg. Like it was
still
perfect.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Perfect. The police waiting backstage to escort him to the ring. Like
knocking
all of it
on the
is
door.
Just so fucking great.
Gilbert, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time, Gilbert.
Bret Hart had to absolutely love this. And I will defend Michael Cole this one time during the match when Gilbert went for the jackknife. He said, and true to form, he only knows one move. So yeah, this was a short throwaway comedy match, but I loved it. This was hilarious.
Yeah, this is a perfect answer to those assholes at WCW, not the Billionaire Ted skits that we saw before. Right. So whoever thought of this, I don't know who it was, Pritchard or Russo or Vince, I don't know, but whoever thought of this is genius. This was just so good, so perfect and well done. And the thing is now, and Ryan, your Jobber of the Week segment covered this, but what I was wondering is where do you go from here with this? Because the WWF back in these days was known to kind of overdo it with certain things.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Gilbert kind of went away for a while, a couple of times.
It just sounds like he kind of shows up every once in a while just to remind us of Goldberg and that they're making fun of him, and then he goes away again. Yeah,
and this, again, WCW just last week was mocking WWF and giving away the finish of Raw, and then immediately WWF responds with Gilbert. That's just so great. And I was thinking, how is there a Gilbert sign in the crowd already? And I thought, well, I'm a fucking idiot because clearly those are planted signs that they put out there. But this was awesome. And frankly, I think this made Luna look pretty good too. I think him jobbing out for Luna made her look good. And this is just the absolute death of WCW now, these last 2 weeks. The finger poke of doom and then this. The WWF is just humiliating their only legit homegrown superstar that they had.
They're laying it on thick.
Yeah, it's just very well done. And it's still, like I said, to this day, it's still funny. I was laughing my ass off then, and I was laughing when I watched it this week.
His fucking mouth motions as he...
Yes.
All of it.
Sparklers.
Just fucking hilarious.
I think it's funny that we did try this before. Fake Razor and Fake Diesel didn't work, but Gilbert does.
Oh, this was a home run. Yeah.
Because we're leaning into it. We're not trying to make it serious.
Exactly.
Well, and
those guys were supposed to be like formidable wrestlers, where this is just a joke.
And they're allowing their talent to be funny. Like they're just allowing Gilbert to just kind of do his thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll get more from Gilbert in the future. So next up, we went to footage from last week. Shawn Michaels getting his ass kicked in a parking lot, something that Shawn was already very familiar with. I am still a fan of that footage of Shawn prying his face from the windshield. That was such a great visual. They set that up so well. Also, last night on Heat, Jose Lothario got his ass kicked, and I really liked that. Didn't pay attention as to why he was there. It was something to do with Shawn, I'm sure. They were in San Antonio to record Heat. I saw, or heard, I should say, the mention of Lothario and immediately tuned out. But I tuned in just long enough to see him getting ganged up on and his shit kicked in, so that was good. We then got the news that Shawn's going to be getting an operation done tomorrow. So that seems to be an indicator that Shawn is going to be out for a while again. We're not going to be experimenting with the possibility of Shawn coming back to the ring anytime soon. After a commercial break, we came back to Dennis Knight, the former member of Southern Justice, also formerly known as Phineas I. Godwin, wearing that same outfit that he was chained to a post in, accosting the commentary table to say, "He's here." The Acolytes once again did us a solid by coming down to the ring to get that piece of trash out of here. Then a sleazy saxophone hit, suggesting that Val Venis was going to be in a match, and given that this was not listed in my research, I had to assume that this was a test. And after being punny up in the ring, Val singled out a ridiculously attractive woman and started flirting with her, which drew out Ken Shamrock to work on Val. Val sold all of that horribly, and it was revealed that that was Ken Shamrock's sister, still unnamed. Just as Ken was leaving, Billy Gunn ran down to the ring to get on the microphone and taunt Shamrock by showing Kenny's sister Billy's ass. Shamrock then got on the microphone. He accepted a challenge for the Intercontinental title at the Royal Rumble, and we moved on to a backstage view of Mankind and Stone Cold chatting in the locker room. And that's where this ended. So, guys, there was a lot in this segment. Jose Lothario getting his ass kicked. We can never pass that up. The fact that we've already abandoned an angle between Test and Val Venis. I loved that. We got the hell away from Test and Val Venis as quick as we possibly could and transitioned to Shamrock here. We got the debut of Ryan Shamrock, even though she's not listed, or named here, I should say. I was already familiar with her debut because, I don't know if you guys remember, but for my Mount Crushmore 2 years back, I did a Mount Crushmore of people that were infinitely better than Sable, and Ryan Shamrock was my number 3. And not only that, we got another title match made for the Royal Rumble. Ken Shamrock defending the IC title against Billy Gunn there. So, Ryan, what'd you have on all this?
Well, the Jose Lothario section I could have done without. I didn't really care about that. Phineas, a.k.a. Dennis Knight.
Formerly of Southern Justice.
Formerly of Southern Justice, you are correct. That very influential tag team. I don't know, this segment was a little bit weird. Just out here screaming, he's going to come. Okay. The Val Venis part, why was Val Venis even here? It almost seemed like he was worthless in this segment. This was just set up for Shamrock versus Billy Gunn. Val Venis' appearance was just completely worthless. So I enjoy that we're going to have this Shamrock versus Billy Gunn match at the Royal Rumble, but I don't know why we needed Val Venis to have anything to do with this segment, to bring his sleaze ass out here just to parade him in front of us. I don't know. But looking forward to the match, but kind of a head scratcher of a segment.
Yeah, starting with Jose Lothario, the only thing I noticed there was he was the recipient of the absolute worst working punch that I have ever seen by anybody ever, and that was delivered by Vince McMahon. So that was just awful to watch. Dennis Knight, nothing really worth noting for me, just a more build up for The Undertaker being more satanic. And Val Venis somehow still getting huge crowd pops. I don't know how that's possible, but yeah, we're starting this Ryan Shamrock gimmick. And what's interesting here is Billy Gunn, as you said, he announced to the entire arena that the girl is Shamrock's sister. So we're already there. There's no build up or who is that? What is that mysterious red substance? All the other bullshit that they do.
No reveal.
Yeah, it's just we're there. And you mentioned why is Val Venis there? And I think clearly because they're going to have him bang Ken Shamrock's sister is what I would be led to believe here. But he's got to get through this match with Billy Gunn first, Ken Shamrock, before he can move on to Val. But I would imagine that's where they're going. And Austin and Mankind talking in the back, I was disappointed because the audio was fucked up. Like we couldn't hear at all what they were saying. So that was pretty disappointing.
Let's not gloss over the fact, well, we're not glossing over it, you both talked about it, but the core issue here is that Val Venis is doing the familial cuck to Ken Shamrock.
Right. Changing it up a little bit. I mean, because we've been sick of that cuck of the people's
The standard
wives.
cucking.
Yeah. Traditional cucking.
We're showing the versatility of Val Venis.
The versatility of his cucking. Yes. He can cuck a wife, he can cuck a sister. He can cuck them all. All right. Well, guys, speaking of gimmicks that got completely abandoned, let's move on to our next match. X-Pac defeats Al Snow by pinfall in 2 minutes and 55 seconds to retain the WWF European Championship. My first question is, why was Al Snow getting this title shot? Couldn't answer it.
I mean, he had a hardcore title shot not long ago. Now they're giving him this title, the European title shot. Who knows?
Now that he lost this one, he can maybe move up to the IC title and lose that.
Yeah, then the heavyweight.
Al Snow then came out in a clean shirt with no head.
Finally.
And I started to wonder if the Brood even existed anymore. But just as I was typing that, we got footage from Heat last night where Al Snow was taking on Christian, and Goldust stole head. So I don't like any of that. And this made me wonder how many times an announcer has said, "This kid's got a lot of guts."
What?
For X-Pac. X-Pac. This kid's got a lot of guts.
I rolled my eyes at the exact same moment when I heard that.
It's a constant thing, especially from Michael Cole with X-Pac.
Call him kid.
I'm pretty sure that I could match up with a Michael Cole commentary with my soundboard. I could just, I got enough spots on there. I could just load in fucking little comments and I could do just as good as Michael Cole.
Make Michael Cole saying, "You're harder to get than the president." The finish here was that Goldust came down with head, offered it to Al Snow, then hit Al Snow with it, giving X-Pac the pin. I did notice that the head had already regrown its hair and was no longer stained with a mysterious red liquid, just confirming that we are going to pretend like the bloodbath never happened. If anything, though, this just completely exposed the head gimmick. It indicated to me that any head will work and not just that specific head, which, honestly ruins the gimmick for me. Al did try to go after Goldust crawling up the ramp, and while I am glad Goldust is no longer taking part in the Blue Blazer crap, I am still confused on what his motivation here is with head. So, Joe, maybe you can help me understand just what the hell is going on with any of this booking.
Good luck.
Well, yeah, that's going to be hard. I'm not a fan of wrestling at all, but I feel like this it's been a long time since we've talked about a really good match on Raw, and other than a couple of hardcore matches we've seen recently, but we're definitely in a new era here because I feel like this could have potential if X-Pac and Al Snow have a 10 to 15 minute long match. I would imagine it would probably be pretty good. So this was a good candidate, but it got ruined by this lame Goldust interference. So we could be talking about a great match we saw on Raw, but that's not the case.
Yeah, I completely agree. I thought the action that we saw between X-Pac and Al Snow was solid, and had they had more time to actually put together a full match, that it could have been good. But Instead, we have Goldust come down, and apparently this feud instead is going to be Goldust versus Al Snow, because for some reason Goldust decided to take head. No real lead up to that, no real rhyme or reason, so that kind of ruined the match. But I do agree that I thought the action that we saw between the two was pretty good.
Well, very generous of the both of you to put that out there. And you're not wrong. I was just so swept up in the mediocrity of what we're doing with gimmicks in this match. It's just too much for me to
understandable.
So after that, we went backstage with the McMahons, the Stooges, and Kane. Apparently Kane wanted to go up against Mankind all by himself, which Vince was not a fan of. And that is what took us straight into our next match. Kane defeats Mankind by disqualification in 6 minutes and 5 seconds, with Mankind retaining the WWF Championship as a result.
Imagine that.
I love it that even when Kane wins, he loses. I really liked the way Kane was selling the face slams into the ring stairs. That looked good. In contrast, Kane's spinebuster to Mankind out of the corner was pretty sloppy and poorly executed. Things were mostly uneventful until Socko came out, which made zero sense to me given that Kane wears a mask that would prevent Socko from being applied. Commentary did mention this incongruity to things, but it didn't seem to really play out in the ring. I did like that Kane was able to finagle that into a reversal, though, getting a tombstone pile driver out of it. But just as Mankind was getting pinned, The Rock came out of nowhere to pull Kane off of Mankind. The Rock then grabbed a chair and started scrambling some brains. Kane got it first, then Mankind, then Kane again. This is what earned the DQ finish. But then the glass broke, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came down, distracting The Rock long enough so that Mankind could get up and grab that chair, chasing The Rock from the ring, leaving Austin, Mankind, and Kane. Kane was still laid out, but the rattlesnake is gonna rattlesnake. Mankind ended up getting a stunner. Kane got a stunner once he got to his feet. Austin and The Rock traded some words and gestures, and this ended. So I loved the finish to this. The Rock is going outside of the corporate mandate. He's cutting his own path, if you will, and starting to frame the bigger showdown with Austin. So Ryan, what'd you think of this match?
Yeah, I thought that this match, for the most part, worked. Kane and Mankind put on a pretty entertaining match, I thought. Both of these guys, they've wrestled with each other a few times, and I think that showed. This is now 2 weeks in a row that we got a heavyweight title match on Raw, so that's kind of nice. Even though there was a DQ ending, it wasn't a complete throwaway match. That DQ didn't happen 30 seconds into the match or something. It was 6-7 minutes in. And then the audience got the big pop they wanted. They got The Rock came out. They got Stone Cold coming out, giving everyone stunners. So even though we had a dirty ending here, I thought this worked. This was a good segment.
Yeah, having this match at the top of hour 2, this is not closing out the show, but having it at the top of hour 2 pretty much tells you that there's going to be some sort of shenanigans that's going to happen. It's a world title match at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whatever the time the hour 2 was. But the crowd is pretty much dead for this for a while, I guess, because it's Mankind versus a jobber. It's understandable.
They knew the outcome.
Yeah, and of course having Austin come out here gets the crowd going, like you said, and it puts more focus on Austin and The Rock too, which is good because the WWF obviously knows that that's what they're going to build up to for WrestleMania is Austin and The Rock, so they have to love seeing this reaction and this interaction between The Rock and Austin that they can slowly build for the next few months. And it's interesting, is this the beginning of The Rock kind of splitting out on his own again? He's been with the corporation for a couple of months now, but it seems longer than that. It probably seems that way to me because I feel like The Rock doesn't need the corporation. He needed that corporation angle to make him a heel, but at this point, I don't think he really needs the corporation. He can split out on his own, so I'm curious to see how they're going to do that, or if they do that anytime soon.
Yeah, same. The whole corporation thing is perfectly fine, and it's been a great, entertaining angle to work through, but I'm really getting antsy to get The Rock as a solo superstar. So is The Rock, because backstage, Vince was yelling at The Rock for what he was doing here, and The Rock was having none of it, because The Rock just really wants to get to that I Quit match at the Rumble. He wants to scramble some brains. So
He will.
From there, we quickly went into our next match. Triple H with China defeats Edge by pinfall in 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Triple H really tried to put some steroids into his "Are you ready?" spiel. Still didn't work. Sounded like he was going to blow a testicle trying to really roar that out there, and it was not any more entertaining. If Michael Cole hadn't mentioned the Brood here, talking about Edge, I would have completely forgotten that they existed. It was noticeable, though, the contrast in matches that we had before Kane and Mankind, and then coming into this, that slow match between Kane and Mankind. And that's not a complaint or criticism, it's just that they are two large mammals going at it in the ring there. In comparison, this match between Triple H and Edge looked lightning fast, Edge especially. The match ended with a pedigree, and some random guys, I didn't know who they were, but they were wearing these weird, like, white pirate shirts. They ran down into the ring and started attacking Triple H just as the lights went out and DX was coming down for the rescue. That actually ended up being the Brood, and this ended up being a bloodbath. When the lights came back up, the Road Dogg had been bloodbathed at the outside, and as he stood up with his hands on his hips, the vibe was that having this red substance dumped all over him was an inconvenience and would in no way affect his life at all. So I was ambivalent about this match. I have been about a lot of Edge's matches, and I honestly have been ambivalent about a lot of the matches in this episode so far. They were fine, but nothing to scream about. But I can't begin to express how fucking stupid this bloodbath thing is. It does nothing. It accomplishes nothing. I mentioned earlier that it was an inconvenience, but even that is a stretch because the Road Dogg presumably is going to get a shower after the show anyway. And the fact that it was the Road Dogg and not Triple H getting it is the icing on the cake of just this pointless, stupid fucking gimmick. They really need to get away from it because I'm not sure that the Brood is going to be salvageable for me if this keeps happening, because it went from damn, this music is great, to, these guys are a little bit lame, to, now they are actively pissing me off. So, I don't know. I'm really hoping it doesn't last much longer because it's certainly not making sense. Joe, please, what did you have on this match and its aftermath?
I am not on board with Edge coming through the crowd. I don't think that he's over enough or at all, really, to be doing that at this stage in his career. It is not helping to get him more over. I don't think the fans really give a shit. Road Dogg, being the only recipient of the bloodbath, I also thought that was incredibly stupid, but it looks like someone just dumped a bucket on him. It doesn't even look menacing or scary at all. Why do I remember the bloodbaths being more memorable and meaningful? I guess maybe that's going to change at some point, but
maybe
we keep
so
on
far,
saying that.
It's been bad.
They must keep the really good ones for Saturday morning superstars.
Maybe.
Yeah, this match, Edge comes down completely void of anything that has to do with the Brood. No pirate shirt, nothing to indicate he has anything to do with the Brood. And oddly enough, I noticed that Triple H and Edge's pants looked so similar. Like, they both were shiny, but one was red and one was black. It almost looked like they were a tag team, not Edge with the Brood. And if Gillberg didn't debut this week and get Jobber of the Week, the Brood was going to get it. Edge was an absolute jobber here. What was it? A minute 30? Triple H lands the pedigree and fucking pins his ass.
255.
And I couldn't agree anymore that I really remember these bloodbaths being cool, but they're just so lame right now. This has been one of the more shocking reveals going back and rewatching some of this stuff and just how anticlimactic everything about the Brood was, because I remembered loving it, and it's been nothing but lame ass bullshit so far.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole Al Snow bloodbath thing, that was whatever. They were trying to build something there and gave up on it. Who knows? That might have been able to go somewhere. Who else got bloodbath? Tiger Ali Singh got bloodbath.
He's been forgotten ever since.
And now this, like I said, at least with Al, and correct me if I'm wrong in my memory of this, but he was laying there in the pool as if he had just gotten beaten up. And he was groggy and kind of sat up out of it and started screaming, not again.
Road Dogg was just like, what the fuck was that?
He just stands up and puts his hands on his hips well, this sucks.
Literally, what? Well, all right, I guess I'll deal with it. But
how is this supposed to be an offensive move? Because that's the way that they're treating this, that this is some kind of psychological offensive move, and it's nothing. It is nothing. It is an inconvenience.
Maybe part of that is on the Road Dogg and the way that he acted like someone just spilt a cup of iced tea on him, and he was just kind of like, oh, what was that?
Yeah, well, that's certainly possible, but at the same time, I don't blame him. Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't want to wrestle Mark Marrow. I sure as shit wouldn't want to sell the bloodbath.
No.
So I can't exactly blame Road Dogg. If it comes down to protecting your character, protecting your own self, I'm not going to sell that stupid shit. That's, hated it. So, moving on. This next mid-match segment is very long, so I have broken it up into two parts. I'm sure our listeners will understand why after we discuss both of them, so we'll get into it here. So after all of that, there was some chanting in the arena, and a large edifice with the symbol of the Undertaker on it was at the top of the ramp. Dennis Knight, aka Phineas I. Godwin, also a former member of Southern Justice, was there laying on a slab with the acolytes on either side of him. Some druids came out, and everybody acted surprised when the bell tolled and the Undertaker came out to assume the throne that had his enormous symbol emblazoned into the back of it. Michael Cole was pathetic here, doing his best Vince McMahon impression. Is that the Undertaker? It is. It is the Undertaker.
Especially that was 30 seconds after his music hit.
Yep.
Who else comes out to the Undertaker's music other than the Undertaker? You dumb fuck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, SpaghettiOs. It's the Undertaker. So there was some kind of overdubbed voice thing going on here. The Undertaker was up there doing his best to lip sync to what was being played over the house PA.
Milli Vanilli style.
Yeah. Paul Bearer was holding a dagger, implying that somebody was going to get fucking stabbed. And rather than stab someone, though, the Undertaker, after he was done with his spiel, walked over to the slab and cut his own wrist, filling a chalice with his mysterious red liquid, while a loud Austin chant got going in the crowd. The Undertaker then said, "You are no longer Dennis Knight, formerly of Southern Justice, or Phineas I. Godwin. You are Midian," and made the newly christened Midian drink some of that red substance. When the Undertaker opened Midian's shirt, someone in the audience catcalled, and I popped hard for that. That was beautiful timing. Taker used that dagger to carve his symbol into Midian's chest, and then Taker gave a little more of a soliloquy, and I wondered just who exactly he was talking to. Who was this directed towards? Because that was not clear at all. And then just as Midian was starting to float off of that slab, we broke to commercial, and the entire atmosphere was completely ruined. And then we'll pause it here before we continue. Now, remember, this is all going to be one huge chunk, so bear with us. But I was extremely conflicted on this because, so this had the look and the feel of The Undertaker that I did not feel was in those vignettes that we had last week. Remember, you and I, Ryan, we talked about that. This, I thought, this was back to form. This did not have that problem. I liked what the Undertaker was saying here. That was some good Undertaker shit. I did not like the need for the lip syncing. that just pointed out to me that there was too much being said. I did not like the fact that he was just up there talking to no one in particular, because that takes it too far into theater rather than wrestling. Like I was waiting for him to say like, alas, poor Yorick or some shit. And then the thing that I disliked the most about this is that it's bookended on either side by just blatantly ridiculous angles. Like, this is something that I want to take seriously, but we have the ridiculousness of the bloodbath before this, and then we'll talk about what comes after it. So, Ryan, as the resident asshole for The Undertaker here, I'm going to go to you first because, like I said, last week, you and I disagreed on the tone and feel of what was going on here. And this week, I think they've absolutely corrected the tone and feel, but I was having a really hard time taking this seriously because it's surrounded by the bloodbath and the rest of the segment that we'll talk about here. So what did you have on this?
I think we're a bit more on the same page this week. I didn't love or hate this. I was conflicted like you were. There were parts of it that really worked. I felt this was a very Undertaker feeling segment, but the monologue that was dubbed over as he tried to lip sync kind of took me out of it. It just, as they would show his lips and they clearly weren't matching up with what was coming over the loudspeakers, that was annoying. I did love Paul Bear stroking that cheap pawn shop knife. I found that hilarious. I also found it hilarious when Taker used that knife to cut his own wrist, and it turned into Saturday Night Live style, like just pouring out like a sieve.
Yeah.
Like it was fucking Julia Child.
Yeah.
I seem to have cut my finger.
Yeah.
Definitely some magic tricks going on there.
Right. And then he cut the symbol into the chest of Dennis Knight, former member of Southern Justice.
Painted it on him.
Painted it with that prop knife. There were, like I said, there were parts that worked, but there were parts that just kind of could have been edited out and made this a little bit shorter and a tighter package. And then when they went to break and came back, Michael Cole just ruined it with his fucking useless response. Like his, I'm speechless or whatever the fuck he said. So yeah, give and take on this, the strikes and gutters.
Yeah, so for this segment, I thought it was just kind of cheesy. It didn't really hold up well, in my opinion. And all I could think of was, I was wondering, did they have higher hopes for Midian to do this? of all people, we're going to do this with Midian. And then I realized it's definitely Mark Calloway getting to be Hulk Hogan here.
Yeah. Midian is his Brutus. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yes.
That is hilarious.
Because if you think about this, they're essentially doing the Dungeon of Doom, but like 5 years later with a better budget and technology.
Yep.
So it works better. Michael Cole ruined this. He ruined the whole thing. Probably made it worse for me watching. Maybe that's why I thought it was so cheesy. And we've mentioned this before. What's aged the worst? Fucking laser pointers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is tough to watch some of these shows with these idiots and their laser pointers. Obviously, the WWF trying to be edgy here. There's the satanic chanting and the speaking in tongues and the ritual all together. It's a little surprising that USA allowed this to air. In some ways, not that it was
had to be
like
the second hour, I'm sure. But.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point because this is the top of that second hour, so they probably had to do that. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I just thought it was cheesy, and I guess what we know now as a little bit of inside baseball with Mark Calloway getting to call his own shots here.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned the Dungeon of Doom because I thought that exact same thing whenever I was watching this. At one of my former work offices, I had a printout of that meme from Seinfeld where it's Jerry like saying, "Kramer, what's going on in there?" And it's Kramer saying, "It's the Dungeon of Doom, Jerry," with the picture of them all dancing in the background. Made me think of that. But anyway, we'll move forward to the second half of this segment. And this was after that commercial break. When we came back, Michael Cole was in this feigned state of shock.
I'm sorry I ruined that in my...
Well, it's you can't ruin it any more than Michael Cole has ruined everything. So
That's got to be Kane.
Yeah. That's got to be The Undertaker.
It's funny because my notes actually say Michael Cole's response when we come back ruined everything.
Yep. Just a really shitty feigned state of shock that completely washed off of his face when the music for D'Lo Brown hit over the PA system.
You better recognize.
Completely switched. And now we're going to move on. D'Lo and PMS.
You better recognize.
D'Lo and PMS came down to the ring in what was going to be another match that wasn't listed in my research. And Michael Cole just completely switched gears, put his broadcaster voice on, completely ignoring the fact that there was just superlateral lightning, there were blood rituals, there was levitation happening. Probably one of the darker live vignettes that Raw has ever had, but...
Outside of busting open the coffins of dead parents, maybe tops it.
PMS looked amazing here, and D'Lo was out here to apologize to Terry for the miscarriage he caused, and apparently by way of making up for that, Terry wanted D'Lo to do something that D'Lo didn't feel he could do, and that thing that D'Lo didn't want to do was wrestle Mark Henry, who came down in street clothes. And I don't know about you guys, but beating up your best friend is certainly equal payment for the death of your unborn child. PMS then instigated them into fighting, like shoving them into each other, until Chyna and Sammy came down to the ring to chase PMS away. Once they did, Chyna and Sammy helped Mark Henry up the ramp, and then back in the locker room, Chyna and Sammy were consoling Mark Henry. Chyna left to get him something to drink, and there was no further follow-up with this segment at all for the rest of the episode. Things did keep getting ridiculous here, though, because then we went back to Michael Cole, who, with a shit-eating grin on his face, reminded us that Vince McMahon was going to be the second entry in the Royal Rumble, and then took us into a Rocky-style training montage.
While he wiped his chin.
Oh, God.
I did enjoy Vince running behind the limousine and then chasing the chicken while Shane yelled, "Make the Colonel proud," through a megaphone. and that did eventually wind down to end this enormous segment. So, like, this is what I mean. To go from the Undertaker stuff to PMS to Michael Cole.
Miscarriages.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough transition. And I got to be honest, for the first time, I was not at all excited about D'Lo and Mark Henry, because I was still trying to wrap my head around a segment involving, like I said, levitation, blood rituals, wrapping my head around a segment that probably really should have been the final segment of the night. So anyway, Joe, what'd you think of this?
We got confirmation that Terry lost her baby. So
yes,
that was huge. That's huge news.
Her outfit was quite nice.
Yeah, very late 90s.
I like Terry, but I've seen a lot of Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, all that stuff back in the day, and I have seen a lot better acting on those shows. She is not... She may be worse than Sable as far as the acting chops go. Yeah, it's not good. When Sammy and Chyna were making their way down to the ring area there, Lawler said, "Things are going south here fast," and I couldn't agree more. That's just, I don't know. It's not working for me, brother. And Jackie's whole titty was out, by the way, when she got thrown down. Her entire boob fell out. Yeah,
I did too.
God damn it.
Oh, yeah. It was completely out. She had to pull her shirt back up. So maybe go back and watch that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
And then Sammy is moving her mouth, but nothing is coming out. So that seems odd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bartlett, I agree with you. I've been on board with just about every single D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Chyna segment. This one just didn't do it for me, brother. It felt... I don't know. It just felt like too forced. Like they didn't really know what to do to further this story.
Yeah.
And they just phoned it in with this segment.
Yeah.
It was just very forgettable. Again, unlike all the other segments with Mark Henry and Chyna, which have been very memorable, this one I just thought was stupid. I didn't enjoy it. The vignette, though, with Shane and Vince, I did highly enjoy. It was a complete Rocky IV ripoff this time. He's training in the snow with the logs over his shoulder, and all of this was a very great parody of the Rocky IV promo, and I loved all of it. Everything Shane was saying, it was all fantastic.
Yeah, I forgot about the video. I love these training montages. I hope we get another one next week. They just make Vince look like a bigger dipshit, and it's just always entertaining.
Uh-huh.
And Shane's really good at being his motivational coach, too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so that is going to take us into our final match of the night. Chyna wins the Corporate Royal Rumble by eliminating all of D-Generation X and the Corporation in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Well, she doesn't do all of the eliminating, but she ends up on top to become the number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble. So Shamrock, he came out first. He was really overdressed, and Shane McMahon joined commentary while Billy Gunn came out as the second entrant. And the first thing to happen was Shamrock jumped over the top rope to get to Billy Gunn and eliminated himself. I popped for that.
True to form.
Not very loud, but I did pop. The entries in this were being counted down just like the Royal Rumble. So we got like the little timer up in the upper corner of the TV screen. The Boss Man came down next. After that, the Outlaws music played, but Test came out instead, which was odd. X-Pac then came out to even the numbers until Test eliminated Billy Gunn in a neat multiple hip toss reversal. I hate to give Test any kind of credit, but I thought that looked cool. The Road Dogg was out next, while Michael Cole kept insisting on asking Shane why Shane wasn't wrestling. Kane then came down, making it 3-on-2 until he eliminated the Road Dogg. And then it was Triple H, who Michael Cole called the last participant in this. And then in rapid fire, Test, Kane, and then X-Pac all got eliminated. And it was Kane that threw out Test, which I very much enjoyed. There was an entry siren. And Vince McMahon came out in his black tank top and black jeans looking jacked. And he ran in just in time to eliminate both the Boss Man and Triple H. But then the siren sounded one more time, and Chyna came out. The Stooges tried to stop her. Chyna put both of them down pretty quickly, just as the glass broke and Stone Cold Steve Austin came down the ramp. But that was the distraction that Chyna needed. She tossed Vince over the top rope. Stone Cold walked out laughing, and Chyna's arms were raised as the number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble as we faded to black. So, much like many of the other matches we've recently watched, this was okay up until the finish. I really liked the finish here. I liked the surprise of both Vince and then Chyna. I liked Chyna winning. And overall, I liked how we're really setting things up for this pay-per-view. Joe, you mentioned it earlier in the episode, but like, this is what it should all be about. We are just hitting it out of the park, setting it up for the pay-per-view, pumping that fucking buy rate, and they're doing a great job of it. So, Ryan, what'd you think about this match and the way that Raw ended tonight?
You know my feeling about Royal Rumble style matches. I'm typically not a big fan, and that did play into this for most of it. The whole beginning of it was pretty forgettable. One thing I did want to point out, though, McMahon, he comes out, all we hear is the siren, no music. But I could be wrong, but I'm about 90% sure that the Royal Rumble is going to be the debut of his No Chance in Hell music. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think that's like the song for the actual pay-per-view.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember the Royal Rumble and that.
Yeah.
And his song being a connection there.
Yeah.
But I will say, I did really like the ending. We had Stone Cold to come out, and then Chyna surprisingly wins and is going to be number 30. So I thought the ending of this match really hit hard, but pretty much everything else leading up to it was just a standard Royal Rumble bullshit match that I don't really care about.
Yeah, I had zero excitement going into this corporate Royal Rumble, but I was curious to see how it was going to end because it was going to end the show. And this was one of those times where I really wish Jim Ross was on commentary for sure. It's because the low light here in this match was definitely Michael Cole, but I still can't get past Test and how much he sucks. Like, once again, can't figure out his gear. Like, he's got these bright spandex bike shorts on.
They look like panties.
He doesn't look like a heel. Like, what are you doing? He has different gear every show, and it just doesn't. I feel
like this is the gear he's going to stick with, though, if I remember.
Yeah,
there's purple, high-hiked fucking panties.
Yeah, it's weird. But what an amazing ending. I'm not a huge fan of listening to these more recent podcasts with guys like Bruce Pritchard and Jim Ross of just talking so much shit on China all the time. But they really put her in a good position here. I get it because like one of the things they talk shit on is the fact that she wanted to wrestle the guys and she wanted to get paid big money and all that stuff. And I get that. But this was excellent use of her and her talent in general. I thought this was very well done, and the crowd obviously was hyped for it. And I watched this in slow motion with Vince getting tossed out of the ring. If he was not injecting steroids on a daily basis into his neck, like, I don't know how he didn't break his neck. Like, his head snapped off that rope. It is another, if you go back to watch Jackie's entire titty fall out later, you should watch Vince get tossed out of the ring in slow motion, because it's a thing of beauty and a shock that he did not break his neck.
Well, Joe, to piggyback off of your hatred of modern podcasts hating on China, it really, like, why is it bad that she wanted to further her career and make more money? Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I don't understand that, but yeah. Fuck Pritchard.
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare you get jumped up about where your place is? You have no place here amongst the big boys. Yeah, it was always bullshit to hear what they had to say about that.
Including JR. I usually will
JR
like and defend JR.
He's probably
his hatred towards China is just fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad state of affairs there. And it never really gets any better. So, all right. Well, that ends it. Like I said, we faded to black. So let's take it on over to highlights, lowlights, and our favorite signs. Joe, why don't you take that first?
For my highlight, I'm going to go with the end of the show. I think Vince McMahon entering this match and China being the one to win it. It was just unexpected and extremely exciting. And obviously having Steve Austin involved too really got the crowd into it. My low light is, if it's not Michael Cole, it's going to be just the layout of the program tonight. Like, I think you mentioned it a couple times, Bartlett, how we just transitioned from satanic rituals to Terry losing her baby. Like, it's just some weird transitions going on. A bad layout of this show tonight is my low light. My favorite sign, I'm going to just keep it simple. There was a sign early on in the show that just simply said breasts.
So, Joe, we're going to kind of bookend here with our highlights. My highlight was the opening segment. Everything about it was fantastic. The promo from The Rock and Mankind, great way to set things in motion. So that was my highlight. My low light is pretty much along the lines of the pacing of the night.
Yeah.
Like you stated, segment to segment, just very cobbled together. It didn't flow like we're used to seeing over the last year. So that was my low light. My favorite sign of the night, we kind of talked about WCW shooting themselves in the foot earlier. My favorite sign was WCW. Foley put my ass in the seat.
Yeah, that was going to be my sign until I saw the one that I ended up going with. But my highlights was specifically The Rock getting back out on the microphone and starting to separate from the corporation a little bit. He had a lot of mic time in this episode, and I really liked that. The lowlights, I had to go with the bloodbath on the Road Dogg. Just completely lost me on the Brood and anything to do with them. They're going to have to work real fucking hard to salvage this for me, because right now they're probably my most hated stable. I can't think of anybody I dislike more, and I'm really stretching it. Like, we really don't have the oddities anymore.
Well,
We do, but not as often as we have this shit. So.
No, but I'm pretty sure they're still around.
Yeah, they're on Saturday morning.
One of them got a big win against Gilbert tonight.
Well, no, they told us she's no longer part of it after she attacked Sable. Remember
Luna
that?
lost her smile with the oddities. And my favorite sign, like I said, Ryan, I almost had fully put my ass in this seat, but towards the end, there was a small Latino gentleman holding up a sign that said, "Need something assembled? Call 281-455-6450.
Wow.
That's perfect. Way to go. Way to go, buddy.
He was gold circle seating, and I popped. I saw that, and I was like, that is probably the best possible advertising you can possibly do. So, Joseph, I don't suppose you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around January 11th, 1999, do you?
I sure do. Combing through all of the run-on sentences and terrible grammar in the Wrestling Observer this week, it is noted that the NBA strike has settled. So that means those WCW events that were to take place on NBC are now postponed. I think Dave Meltzer reported on that a couple of weeks ago, and those are not going to happen now.
To put another nail in WCW's coffin.
Yep. And speaking of that, let's talk about the ratings a little bit. Raw set an all-time record of a 5.76 rating last week. Pretty impressive, too, since both Raw and Nitro went head-to-head with the College Football National Championship. So a 5.76 is a pretty good number considering that competition.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes. Canada is not happy with the current state of wrestling right now. Mainly a group of teachers that complained to the Winnipeg 1 School Board to implore that the school board request that TSN move its pro wrestling telecasts to later evening time slots.
Angry mothers.
The president of the Winnipeg Teachers Association said that children mimicking pro wrestlers are grabbing their genitals, gyrating their hips, and telling children and teachers to suck this.
Yeah.
Was the president's name Karen?
Actually, no. I think that might have been... I left the names out of it. I wanted to keep the names private. I'm not going to be like Dave Meltzer and just... blast
Doxer.
Names. Yeah, I think that was a guy. That was a man, first one. Now, this was a woman.
Sammy.
Sammy, the board chairperson. According to Sammy, the problems with fighting on the playgrounds have escalated to the level reached years ago at the peak of the popularity of the Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shows.
Of course.
Can't have this kind of violence. Toxic turtles.
Yeah.
So things are getting pretty ugly up there in Canada, so hopefully they work that out soon, yeah.
The kindergartners won't stop crotch chopping. I don't understand.
Suck this.
Yeah.
Gyrating their hips. Speaking of gyrating hips, Shawn Michaels, he underwent back surgery on January 12th in San Antonio. The operation was to fuse discs in his back, and there would be no way to estimate until later in the week what his chances are when it comes to returning to the ring. So that was interesting. I actually didn't know that Shawn Michaels ever actually had the surgery, but apparently he did. So he's going to be out for a while, as we know. Another injury report is Thrasher of the Headbangers. He has a torn meniscus and will undergo surgery on January 18th and be out for probably at least 3 months.
Oh, no. What will WWF do without the Headbangers?
Well, if you put some pieces together with what you remember from back then, you could probably figure out where they're going to go with that.
Yep.
See, I thought that was in the 2000s, but I guess I was wrong.
No.
No.
It's about, we're about a torn meniscus away from that. Steven Regal is back in rehab. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing him anytime soon. Another Steve, one of Wrasslin Raw's favorites, Steve Williams, Dr. Death. He is ready to go, according to Dave Meltzer.
Straight out to pasture.
They are going to reintroduce him as a character who has turned his back on America for Japan
Oh, my
and
God.
do vignettes before starting him on TV. That's a new gimmick. I've actually never heard of that before in wrestling.
God. I remember it every other time it's ever been done, but I don't remember Steve Williams doing it.
I imagine the audience saw him and were like, isn't that the guy that got his ass kicked by fucking Bart Gunn?
Yeah.
This guy is nowhere near as good as Crush.
Chains. Last piece of news here from Dave Meltzer. There's some wrestlers are getting some work outside of the WWF. Steve Austin will be taping an episode of Nash Bridges this week. He is also taping a radio spot for M&M's Candy.
Oh.
Val Venis will be taping an episode of La Femme Nikita this week.
Oh, my God.
That's a good fit.
Yep. And the replay of the Sable episode of Pacific Blue last week did an amazing 3.6 rating.
So thirsty. These
A lot
pathetic.
a lot of horny teenagers.
Gotta
out
watch
there.
the rerun. And Undertaker, Shamrock, and The Rock will be doing an episode later this week on That 70s Show.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't believe The Undertaker was a part of that, but
No.
apparently maybe he was going to be. So,
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And that is all.
All right. Well, thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. Yeah. I want to say I just watched that episode of That 70s Show not too long ago. Didn't Shamrock have like an afro in that?
It's been forever since I saw it. I just remember some wrestlers being in there.
Yeah.
I think The Rock was the one that had the afro. I feel like Ken Shamrock had like more like a British style haircut.
So you mean
if I remember correctly. Almost like the guys from the Monkees back in the day.
Oh, yeah. The mod cut.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at wrasslinraw@gmail.com. Check us out on social media and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to give us a like and a follow and a 5-star rating. Next time on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on January 18th, 1999, with matches featuring The Rock, Dan Severn, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.